For this demonstration we're going to be making an easel card. I'm not sure if you can see that properly. So we're going to be making a different colourway. For this one I've used the Tabriz blue card, which Phil's put all of the card on a pick and mix, which is the last time he's going to be doing this. We're also using the scratchy background stamp. We're using the sparkly squiggly background stamp, and in the demonstration we're going to be using the backgrounds in the opposite ways. We're also using the enchanting flower, the sweetheart flower. I've got the lush leaves on here, but we're going to be using the leafy fronds instead, and we're using all of the stamps in the Big Birthday Verse A Very Happy Day set. We're also going to be using the Textural Temptations, which is new. Like I said, we're going to be using the 2 background stamps as well. There's quite a lot of stamping to do, so let's crack on. That out of the way. Excuse me. Okie dokie. So starting with my actual base card. So I've taken a piece of the pure white card and I've trimmed it so that it's just 28 centimetres long. And then I decided what size I wanted my topper to be, which I've cut from a rounded corner double debossed rectangle. And so what you need to do is draw a line, a pencil line, pop your, if you can see, your topper on here, and then draw a pencil line all the way along the length. Then what you need to do is score just on the half that isn't going to have the topper on, and you score at 3 centimetres, 6 centimetres, 10 centimetres, 14 centimetres all the way across, because that's going to be the actual kind of proper fold of your card, if you like, and then at 21 centimetres. And then using a craft knife you cut from the 3 centimetre line up to the 21 centimetre line. And then it's just a case of turning it over so you hide all your pencil marks, and then you do your mountain and valley folds, and then you've got your stepper. So it's as simple as that. It's really easy to create. So that's my base. Then, as I said, we've got a little bit of stamping to do. So we'll start with let's start with this one actually. It's a piece of pure white card, and we're going to stamp the sparkly squiggly. I'll put it down somewhere. Here it is, with Victorian Velvet Distress Oxide, and this is going to be what I'm going to put my verse onto. So it's a grey rubber stamp made by K and Alfie at Indigo Blue, so you know the quality. And of course the quality has to be decent, otherwise Phil sends it back anyway. I'm getting really good inking on there, but what I'm also going to do is giving myself a little bit of an insurance policy, and I'm just aside misting that with water as well, and that lets the oxide actually it just gives a clearer image, and you can get a couple of impressions out of this actually. There's my sparkly squiggly, nicely stamped. And you do need to, once you've kind of taken a second impression, you do need to wash this off your stamp. Don't leave oxides on, because you'll just change the colour of what other ink you put on top. So that's that one, and you leave that to dry. And I have one that I have dried earlier, and I've cut a double debossed rounded rectangle out of it. I've popped it in my Stamp Perfect, and we're going, like I say, we're going to stamp the verse onto here, and we're going to take my Nocturne Versifying Clair. So we're in a really good pop of colour on this. Try not to, I'm not very good at, I like to really give it a really good inking, and I'm aware that every time I do it, I make the camera wobble. So I'm sorry. Right, there's my Versafine Claire. And the beauty, obviously, of this Stamp Perfect is that you can keep on going back in if you don't actually stamp it very well. Give it a good old press. Make sure I've covered it all. And there we go. You can still see it. You've got a lighter background and then you've got that black pop. But I want to make sure that that actually pops even more. So what I'm going to do is pop some clear embossing powder on top. And this is the Crystal Clear from Phil. So you do need to make sure that your oxide is 100% dry, and then you do need to dust it with your anti-static bag, because otherwise you're going to get the embossing powder on your oxide background as well, which is obviously a different look but might not be what the look that you want. I'm going to do all of my heat embossing all in one go, so I'm just going to put that to one side just so you don't have to watch me do it all. That's my clear embossing. Then I'm going to take my double debossed rounded rectangle, which I've cut to 2 sizes bigger, so I've got a really good border to it. And this is the candy pink card. Like I say, Phil's put a pick and mix on that. And where's my stamps? There they are. Sorry, I'm just learning the names. Textural Temptations. So we're going to stamp a selection of these on the background, and we're going to again use the well, we haven't used it yet, have we? We're going to use silver embossing powder on this. Grab myself a block, and we're going to stamp with the Wow embossing pad. I've already dusted it with my anti-static bag. Wow embossing pad, here it is. I put everything within arm's length, but they're not actually where I normally keep them, so I'm instead of just grabbing them from where I normally have them, I'm looking for them. Oh dear, if I had a brain. I love this one. I think this is my favourite. You'll see this on most of the card samples that I've done, because I absolutely love this stamp. It's a little bit grungy, but it's also very pretty as well. Now, you can't see it very well because obviously this is a pink card, but when I stamped it on the Tabriz blue, you get a watermark effect, so you can actually see where you've been. But I'm going to do one down here, coming off the side, because we're not going to see all of it, but I do want to see some of my lovely flower. And then I have another little bit here down the bottom. I know Lou always works in 3s. I'm a bit more random than that. So I can see where I've been. I'm going to add my embossing powder right now. Silver. Pure silver. I think that for me, the silver, the gold, the pure white and the clear are the ones I use most of, and they're the ones that Phil's just replaced for me. I wasn't quite out of them, and I've been with Phil since the end of August last year, so that's an indication of how long they last. They're big pots, they're 20ml pots. Keep them in the pot, because the pot's anti-static and so is the powder. I'll move that so you can see it. Oh, I'll give that a flick. Got a little bit there that I shouldn't have, but it's fine. It's a grungy background. You don't actually need to worry about it too much. Then let's go for decisions. I really like this typewriter one, and I like that one too. Let's go for this one now. I love this one. It's hard to not go for your favourites all the time. We had a bit of a discussion as to what to put on the shows, what to design. So basically Phil has to do all the work and I just say yes or no, and that's how it works, which I'm very happy about. So these are like stars, swirly stars. So I'm just going to put a couple of these in there because I know what I want to put in the other area there. And I can always fill in with something else if I've got space. Let's have a look where my silver is. See where I'm at, because I have no idea what I've stamped where. Somewhere along there it was. No, I didn't put anything there. There we go. There's my stars. And I definitely put something down here. Yeah, there's my stars there. Okay. So we're building up. I think we only need perhaps one stamp now, because I can do one stamp down there. I've got in mind the one I want to use. Yep. Okay. Fingerprints all over the place. Right, I want to use this one. Oh, might as well put it straight. This is really cool, this stamp. And this is one of those stamps that it really, really doesn't matter if it's not stamped perfectly. So we bring it in. And you see it's going to fit just down the edge there, which is what I want. And then we're going to bring in a bit. I'm going to do it the opposite way here. I'm probably putting more fingerprints on than I'm taking off, actually. Do be careful that you don't put any embossing ink on your fingers, because then you will get a fingerprint, but that could be a stamp anyway, that's fine. We only need a little bit there. And then I can turn the stamp around actually and just figure out just that one there like that. So that should be me completely covered now. Okay. There's a little bit more stamping I'm going to do, and then I'll take a break and heat set and do a bit of gluing, etc. See, there's my background. Doesn't that look cool? And that's not even embossed yet. You wait till you see it embossed. Try not to put that on top of my other one. Okay. So that's those are my two focal rectangles that are going on the stepper panel on the left of my card. Okay, so what we also want to do is now we need to stamp the other background as well. There's two bits I need to do. There's my background. I'll grab my block. So I'm using the long block of fills here that's in the kit. This is your scratchy background. Already dusted that with my anti-static bag, and we're going to grab the Wow embossing ink again. I love cards that are all background because it means that you can do whatever you want to, and if you make a mistake you can just restamp it. Obviously you could bring in the new papers that are on the show, but I just wanted to do one card that was just all basically card and stamps really. Obviously dies as well. So sparkly squiggle. This one's quite scratchy rather, this one. This one's very easy to extend because it's so random. It doesn't really matter whether it's lined up properly or if it overlaps or anything like that. Of course you can't see it until I put embossing powder on. And this is going to have the silver on again. Got a bit of a theme going on here. Look at that. It's such a cool background, it really is. That's that one. And just a couple of extra little bits of stamping because I've got to do the rest of the verse set. So we were using all of that. So so once you've embossed, before you've embossed, let's see. I've got a couple of this is your sparkly squiggly that has been stamped just with the Victorian velvet. and we're going to go back to the VersaFine Clear because I want it to pop, and I've got the other 2 sentiments that are in the set. Now this piece here that I've trimmed is going to fit in this section just here on my stepper, so that's going to have a sentiment on it, and then this section here I'm going to trim down as well. So we're going to take the longer piece, the longer sentiment that says "Have a great day," and we're going to stamp it on the top of there. Already dusted with my anti-static bag. And we're going to see if I can get it straight. I'm working around the camera again. Get that chance to set in nicely. Okay, and then we'll quickly stamp the other one, and then I'll add the embossing powder to both. This one is the one I'm going to trim down, and this just says "Happy Birthday." With VersaFine Clear, it stays open for a little while, so we should be okay. If I stamp it there, then I only have to trim one side. Lovely. Doesn't it look great on the stamped background? As long as you use one of the light colours in the oxides, you're fine. I mean, don't use I don't know, chip sapphire, that would be a bit dark. Blueprint sketch, that would be a bit dark too. We're going for crystal clear. Don't go for the white. Try not to get your white and your clear mixed up. As I said on a previous demonstration I did, and I was very disappointed that I put clear on instead of white. Couldn't live with it, had to do it again. Okay, so that's all my stamping all done. So I'm going to leave you for a couple of minutes, and I'm going to heat emboss everything, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I've done it. So this is attempt number 3 at showing you this section of the card. So excuse the mess that we've got here, but I did want to show you the background embossed with the silver. We've also got the scratchy embossed with silver, and we've got our 2 sentiments on there, and I've edged everything with Victorian Velvet Oxide. We've also got a flower on here because that was from another attempt at this. I could cry, but hey ho. Right, okay, so right, let's just add our panel on here. So we've got our sentiment panel here, and again I've edged that with Victorian Velvet, and that's going to go on foam pads to hide the mess that was underneath from the previous foam pads. I shan't harp on about it too much. I can't wait to get back to the studio. Right, so let's do our flowers. I've got the enchanted flower, not the enchanted flower, sorry, the sweetheart flower, which I've stamped with Victorian Velvet Distress Oxide onto the pure white card and embossed with the crystal clear, and then cut out with the sweetheart die. Then I've got the same size flower, which I've stamped onto candy pink with the Wow embossing pad and embossed with the pure silver embossing powder and cut out with the die. And then from a sparkly squiggly background, I've cut 2 of the enchanted dies out. So I'm just going to show you how I shape these. So just in my finger, I'm just curling the petals up. These are all 4-petal flowers, so when you put another one on top, it looks really cool. And again, this one exactly the same. Like that, and that one will sit on there. Then for the enchanting flowers, I'm just grabbing my pointed tweezers from the tweezer set and just squeezing them up. And these are going to sit very nicely inside of the sweetheart flowers. Of course, it's optional. You can use each flower individual. But I know that when Phil designed these flowers, he designed them so that there was as much flexibility as possible, so that you could mix and match and just create your own kind of fantasy flowers. So just giving these a pinch. Then we're going to stick these together with the Sentimentally Yours glue, which is also on the show. I'm just using a what they call moulding mat, so it's just a foam mat. So when you press into the centre with where your glue is, you get the dimension into the flower. And then this one go in there, and then we're going to stick 2 of these together. A bit more glue. And then see this point will go, see the points go into the centre, how they fit together beautifully. Now in the centre of my flower, the new pearls would go very nicely with this colourway. This is the marshmallow latte, just to show you one of these and how it would look. Oh, that's 2. That's a 5mm. I don't want that one. So that would look perfect in there. So that's an option, but we're not going to do that because I've decided I'm going to do a glitter mix instead. So what we're going to do is just grab a whole load of glue into the centre, make a little circle of glue, and then we're going to, what I've done is I've already mixed some Cosmos holographic glitter with the Crystal Aurora glitter to make my own glitter mix. And if we look at the Cosmos, you'll see there's quite a difference between the two. This one's lighter, more pink, salmon pink, which kind of goes with the colour theme that I'm dealing with. So we're going to add some of that to the centre of our flower to give us a different look. There we are, very pretty. On my original card I did actually edge the tips of the enchanting flowers with the oxide, but I forgot to do it on these, so it's a little bit different. Right, while we've got the glitter out, I'm going to add some glitter to my topper piece as well. So I don't need to add any to these 2 corners because that's where all my flowers are going to go. So we just add a little bit. It doesn't have to be neat. It can't possibly be neat when we're trying to do it this quickly. Just down to there, that'll do. And then we'll start it about here. I tend to do, because I never know quite where I'm going when I'm making the original card, I do tend to just go all the way around. But there is no need when you're covering it all up. Let me just add some of that. Tap it in. I'll give it a flick in a minute. It is easier when you're constructing your card to actually construct it flat rather than folded. Give it a flick. Obviously that looks a little bit different at the moment because the glue's got to dry, and you will sometimes find that the card will buckle a little bit while it's drying, but then it'll settle down. That's one side. So I've got flowers and leaves dotted around that have got glue on them to try and save a bit of time, but I'm trying not to put my card on top of them. The challenges of doing this at home. Again and again and again and again. Try not to harp on about it. Honestly, I could have cried, but never mind. We're over that now. Right, okay. Right, so let's bring in all of our flowers and leaves. So I've cut 2 pairs of the, this is your delicate, no, leafy fronds, I'm trying to think of the name, and it's got a lovely debossed detail in it. So I've got 2 pairs of those. So just be careful that you don't cover up your words when you pop them on. And my glue should tack quite quickly, she says. If I put them on, I don't know if I put the glue on the right side, we'll soon find out. Because it's been sat there for a little while. So this is my, and you've got lefts and rights. That's the one that's, move that one out of the way. You can't see the mess that's going on outside the camera. Quite a lot. Now at the bottom, you need to be aware that this has got to stand up. So just be aware of that. Other leaves. one at the top. Doesn't matter at the top it can go out, and sometimes it's nice to have that movement so that it is actually going out of the card. And here's my last leaf. I know Phil puts his flowers on first and then adds his leaves. I can't do it that way. I have to do it this way. Okay. You will get a little bit of stray glitter while it's drying. Okay, so this is my biggest flower, which at the moment the glue's still drying because this is from my previous failed attempt. How many times have I said that? I'm going to put a foam pad just under there actually, because obviously I've got foam between my topper and my base, and that's going to give my flower a little bit to stick onto and make it sit nicer. That's going on there. Try and get the dimension back in that. So that's the biggest one. And then I'm going to add another foam pad down here as well. I'm going to bring in my next biggest one, and these have all got glue on them already. Now, just like I say, just be careful that that's going to still stand up, and you're not hiding your words either. So there's a few things to think about. This one's perfectly dry, so you can see it's dried with that coppery colour in the glitter. Then my next one's going to come in here. Try not to move my leaf too much. I want to get it sitting all together. Okay, that's kind of working. And then my next largest is going to go up here, just off the edge there. And then my smallest one's going to tuck in with my lone flower down the bottom. Hopefully that's not dry, that glue. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so now we can do our little fold. Hopefully I've remembered everything. There we go, and that flower there will darken up when that glue's dry. So there we are, there's our stepper card in candy pink, white and silver. Yay!